Hey, Judge Mathis, how are you today, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I want to ask.
I'm not good, rather. It's the worst days of my life. How about that?
Friendly throughout those years, or did you go back and forth?
Just now, at 64, Judge Mathis has finally come clean about the haunting rumors that nearly destroyed his life and career. Raised in the rough streets of Detroit's Herman Gardens, his early days were riddled with chaos. From getting expelled to joining a gang, his past is as shocking as it is gritty. What specific struggles from his past drove Judge Mathis to such a dramatic confession? Tune in as we dive deep into his early battles and reveal how his darkest days helped shape the judge he is today. From the streets to the bench, Judge Mathis, known for his tough and respected presence in court, was facing what could be his biggest challenge at 64. He spoke openly about the rumors that had been following him for years. For someone who always seemed to have everything under control, he now shared the personal battles that almost ruined his life. In this story, we'll explore the events that shook his life and marriage. As the courtroom hushed, all eyes fixed on him, Judge Mathis' voice faltered slightly, betraying a vulnerability few had witnessed. But before we get into that, let's take a step back to look at his early life and how it shaped him. Gregory Ellis Mathis was born in 1960 in Detroit, Michigan. Life wasn't easy for him growing up. He was one of 4 boys, raised by his single mother, Alice Mathis, in Herman Gardens, one of the first federal housing projects in the U.S. By the time Mathis was a teenager, his neighborhood had become a dangerous place, full of crime. His mother worked 2 jobs, one as a nurse's aide at night and another cleaning houses during the day, just to keep things afloat. Even with all her hard work, it was tough for Mathis to stay on the right path in such a rough environment. From a young age, Mathis struggled with discipline. He was expelled from elementary school, which set a difficult tone for his education. He bounced from one high school to another, constantly in trouble and clashing with teachers. By 10th grade, he had dropped out of school completely, giving in to the negative influences around him. At just 15 years old, he became involved with a well-known gang in Detroit, the Arrow Flynns. This led him into a life of crime with a juvenile record filled with offenses like breaking and entering, stealing purses, and shoplifting. At 17, Mathis hit a turning point when he was arrested for carrying a hidden weapon. This landed him in Wayne County Jail. During a visit, his mother's deep disappointment struck him hard. Seeing the sadness and pain in her eyes made Mathis realize how much his actions were hurting her. He promised himself and his mother that he would turn his life around, but it wasn't easy. The neighborhood he lived in made it difficult to keep that promise. Thankfully, when Judge Charles Kaufman handled his case in the Wayne County Circuit Court, he gave Mathis a life-changing option. He could either go to a maximum security prison or work to get his general education diploma, GED, and start over. This decision would change the course of Mathis's future forever. When Mathis had to decide between staying on a difficult path or changing his life, he chose to change. He decided to get his GED and move away from the troubles of his past. This decision became even more important when his mother passed away from cancer. Her death strengthened his resolve to keep the promise he made to her, to completely turn his life around. Mathis succeeded in earning his GED and started dreaming of a future that once seemed impossible. With new goals in mind, he applied to Eastern Michigan University, getting in through an affirmative action program. But adjusting to college life wasn't easy. The first few years were tough, and he struggled to feel like he belonged. Still, he kept going, and in 1984, he graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree. While in college, he also got involved in local Detroit politics. Mathis's journey from student to public servant begins in the heart of Detroit, the making of a judge. He started as an unpaid intern for Irma Henderson, the president of the Detroit City Council. Every week, he would commute from his university in Ypsilanti to Detroit. This internship opened his eyes to how local government worked and sparked his interest in public service. After finishing his degree, Mathis returned to Detroit, where he worked as an aide for another city council member. He also began law school at the University of Detroit. Mathis's passion for helping others shone through when he co-founded a program to help at-risk teens in Detroit find jobs and better opportunities. By 1988, he had earned his law degree and passed the Michigan State Bar exam. However, his journey to becoming a lawyer wasn't smooth. His juvenile record made the bar authorities hesitate in giving him a license to practice law. For the next 4 years, he couldn't work as a lawyer, but he didn't give up. He stayed involved in community service, even running a local city hall and working as chief of staff for a city council member. His life story started gaining attention, and soon the entertainment industry showed interest in turning his experiences into a TV movie. Despite the growing interest in his life story, Mathis remained focused on his goal of becoming a lawyer. Finally, in 1993, he got his law license and opened his private practice the next year. In 1994, he made a big move by running for a position on Michigan's 36th District Court. He won the election, becoming the youngest judge ever elected to this busy court. As a judge, Mathis stayed committed to helping others, just as he had been helped in the past. He mentored young people and believed in giving second chances. Through his role, he wanted to show the youth of Detroit that no matter how difficult things seemed, change was possible. He used his position to encourage others to turn their lives around, proving that personal transformation is always within reach. When Warner Brothers Television reached out to Judge Mathis with an offer, it wasn't just any regular job. They wanted him to host a conflict resolution TV show that would start airing all over the country in 1999. This show was different from other courtroom shows on TV at the time. It was an hour long, which was more than most shows, and it could handle up to 4 cases in one episode. This gave Judge Mathis plenty of time to do what he did best: deliver justice and share life lessons with the people in front of him. The people who came on the show usually had small claims disputes in Chicago. Instead of going through regular legal channels, they had the option to have their cases resolved on national TV by Judge Mathis. For many, it wasn't just about getting a solution to their problems. It was also an exciting opportunity to be on national television. But the show wasn't only about entertainment. Judge Mathis took his role very seriously. He saw his position on the show as a chance to do more than just settle cases. He wanted to give viewers at home advice they could use in their own lives, hoping his decisions and words of wisdom would make a difference. Judge Mathis wasn't just another judge on TV. At the beginning of each episode, he often shared parts of his own life story. He wanted people to know how he turned his life around, showing that the decisions he made came from a place of personal growth and experience. Under the judge's robe, Mathis blends humor with fairness on his unique TV show, Humor and Heart in the Courtroom. His style of justice was simple and direct. He made decisions quickly and didn't tolerate nonsense. He was known for mixing humor with seriousness, often using funny phrases and dad jokes to ease the tension, but always making sure that justice was served. But here's the thing, it wasn't just about the humor. Judge Mathis had a deep sense of empathy, which came from his own experiences. He often connected with the people in front of him because he understood their struggles. He had lived through many of the same challenges. This empathy didn't just connect him to the people in the courtroom, it also resonated with the viewers at home, making his impact even greater. Still, the show wasn't the only thing on his mind. His main goal was to be a role model for people who came from backgrounds like his. He wanted to show that no matter how tough life gets, you can overcome the obstacles, just like he did. As Judge Mathis became more popular, new opportunities came his way. He even starred in another show called Mathis Family Matters, which let viewers see what his family life was like. This show gave fans a glimpse into his personal life, adding another layer to his public image, beyond just being a judge. But this wasn't the end of his achievements. Judge Mathis continued to prove himself in the courtroom. Over 5 years, he consistently ranked among the top 5 judges in the 36th District, which had almost 30 judges each year. This was no small feat and showed that he was more than just a TV personality. He was a respected figure in the legal world, and it didn't stop there. Outside the courtroom, Judge Mathis stayed active in politics, especially focusing on issues in urban areas, showing that he was always committed to making society better. Mathis has been active in politics since the late 1980s. One of his first big roles was managing Jesse Jackson's presidential campaign in Michigan. After that, he helped Mayor Coleman Young win re-election, and once the campaign was over, he was put in charge of the East Side City Hall in the city. Even as his TV show made him well known across the country, he stayed deeply involved in important political projects. One key contribution was to President Obama's My Brother's Keeper program, which supports boys and men of color. This effort meant a lot to Mathis since he had faced similar struggles growing up and wanted to help others overcome those same challenges. Besides his work in politics and on television, Mathis also turned to writing. In 2008, he published a novel called Street Judge, which he co-wrote with a well-known author named Zane. The book follows a judge trying to solve murder cases. He also wrote Of Being a Judge, a more personal book about his legal career and his journey of personal growth. Both of these books allowed him to share his life lessons with a larger audience. But even with all his success, Mathis never forgot where he came from. In 2003, he worked to make sure that former residents of Herman Gardens, a public housing project, got first priority to move into new apartments built on the same land. This showed his continued dedication to helping his community. However, things haven't always been smooth for Mathis. In 2023, he found himself in a public argument with rapper and TV producer 50 Cent over a movie Mathis was producing called The First Lady of BMF, The Tessa Welch Story. The movie, directed by Vivica A. Fox, was about Tessa Welch, who had ties to the Black Mafia family, a large drug trafficking group. 50 Cent didn't agree with how the movie portrayed Welch's involvement with the group and felt it was exaggerated. But Mathis didn't let this criticism get to him. Fame brings Mathis new challenges and deeper insights into his own life. Mathis's clash with city workers. Despite the criticism, Mathis stood by his decision to tell Welch's story. He believed it was an important narrative to share. Both he and 50 Cent had overcome difficult pasts, and Mathis made it clear that their disagreement wouldn't go any further. After all, they both had been through serious life-threatening events, including being shot, 50 Cent surviving 9 gunshots famously. Before he became a famous rapper, Mathis was shot twice when he was younger. These events were tough reminders of his difficult past, something he shared with other artists in the music world. Even though he went through these violent moments, Mathis always stayed away from street fights. He often brushed off any public arguments with fellow rapper 50 Cent, saying they were just small disagreements and not anything serious. But that wasn't the only trouble Mathis faced. The same year, he got into a big argument with some city workers in Los Angeles. The problem started when workers from the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power asked Mathis to move his car because it was in their way. Things quickly got heated, with the workers claiming that Mathis threatened them with a gun after the argument got intense. According to the workers, the fight started when Mathis was asked to move his car. They said he not only yelled at them, but also pulled out a gun and pointed it at them. From their side of the story, Mathis became more and more upset when they told him to move his car, and the whole situation got out of hand. But Mathis told a completely different version of what happened. He said the workers were actually blocking his driveway, making it impossible for him to leave. Mathis claimed one of the workers threatened him, saying that if he didn't move his car, they would crush it with their truck. Mathis saw this as a real threat to his safety, so he told the workers he had a gun. In his mind, he was trying to calm things down by being honest about having a weapon, showing he was only worried about his safety. Mathis insisted that he never pointed the gun at anyone or made any direct threats. He thought just mentioning that he had a gun would be enough to calm things down and protect himself from what he saw as a dangerous situation. After a while, the tension eased and nothing more happened. The LWP workers, although still a bit shaken, continued with their work, but later reported the incident to the police. In the end, no legal action was taken against Mathis, but the event did spark some conversations about his personality and how he handles stressful situations outside of work. These moments have certainly made people see him in a more complicated way. Mathis has also been outspoken about various social issues, especially those affecting the Black community. One major example was when he publicly criticized the ongoing feud between comedians Monique and Dale Hewley. This argument had flared up again during an interview on Shannon Sharpe's podcast, Club Shay Shay. The conflict became a big public spectacle, with both comedians trading insults in front of everyone. Watching this unfold, Mathis felt the need to speak up, saying that these kinds of arguments were embarrassing not only for the comedians themselves, but also for the Black community as a whole. Without mentioning their names directly, Mathis urged Monique, Hewley, and others to stop fighting in public. He said these arguments were harmful to the community's image, especially now that everything is so visible on social media. He pointed out that you don't often see these kinds of public fights in other communities, and it made Black celebrities look bad. Mathis was concerned that younger people might see these actions and think it's okay to behave like this. He encouraged them to find better ways to settle their differences, stressing the importance of lifting each other up instead of tearing each other down. As his personal life unfolds on camera, Mathis confronts the toughest trials yet. A marriage tested by fame and neglect. But this wasn't the only time Mathis talked about the importance of managing conflicts. He openly admitted that he also struggles with anger, especially during intense parts of his show. However, he explained that those moments were part of the entertainment and not the same as the personal attacks seen between Monica and Hewley. In his opinion, public figures should focus on resolving their issues in a positive way to help create a more supportive and united community atmosphere. In a heartfelt message to others in the public eye, Mathis urged his peers to focus on uplifting their communities rather than fueling division. He stressed how important it is to handle disagreements privately and professionally, avoiding the temptation to turn personal issues into public drama. Mathis himself has been going through a really tough time. His marriage of almost 40 years to his wife Linda is close to ending, with divorce appearing likely after they've spent decades together raising their 4 children. In August of 2023, Linda started the divorce process, pointing to irreconcilable differences. They had been living apart since mid-July. As part of the divorce, Linda requested financial support, but made it clear she didn't want Mathis to receive similar support. Known for his wise advice on his long-running courtroom TV show, Mathis now finds himself in a vulnerable spot as he navigates these personal struggles. When Mathis broke his silence about the divorce, he talked openly about how hard this time has been for him. He described it as some of the darkest days of his life. He expressed hope that others could learn from his situation, particularly the importance of not neglecting their marriages. He reflected on the possible causes of his marital problems, admitting that he often put his community work and career ahead of his relationship with Linda. He even acknowledged that he sometimes chose to spend time with friends instead of with his wife, a clear sign of how he had taken her for granted. But this wasn't always the case. When he moved the filming of his show to Los Angeles in 2023 after years in Chicago, he promised to spend more time with his family and strengthen his marriage. Unfortunately, old habits are hard to break, and soon he found himself traveling frequently for work and personal reasons, which put more strain on their relationship. His admission that he failed to keep his promises shows how good intentions don't always lead to meaningful change without true commitment. To clear up any rumors, Mathis addressed the situation directly. He assured everyone there was no affair, no cheating, and no extreme actions like abuse behind their problems, despite what some might think. At the root of their troubles, Mathis pointed out, was neglect. Linda had her doubts, especially with his frequent travel, but he insisted these trips weren't about meeting other women. Even though they've separated, Mathis hasn't completely given up hope. He shared that they still live in the same house and maintain a friendship. He's working hard to show Linda that he's changed, with the goal of stopping the divorce. Deep down, he doesn't want to let go of their relationship and is focused on becoming a better person to restore the bond they once had. He's confident that he can turn things around and save their marriage. Over the years, Mathis has often spoken about how much Linda means to him. He's especially mentioned her support during key moments in his life, like when he received his Hollywood Walk of Fame star in May of 2022. In his speech, he thanked Linda and their children for being his foundation, recognizing that he couldn't have achieved his success without them. His admiration for Linda has always been clear, as he shared how she stood by him during his tough times, from his early days in Detroit to his rise as a TV judge. Despite ongoing rumors of infidelity, Mathis has consistently denied these accusations, emphasizing that the real issue was trust damaged by his long absences, not any proven wrongdoing. But even though they've tried to present a picture of a close, loving family, their marital struggles have now become public. It's a reminder that even relationships that seem stable can go through serious challenges. This also shows how hard it can be to balance personal life when you're in the public eye, adding another layer of difficulty to any relationship. What do you think about the challenges public figures face in maintaining private relationships? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more discussions like this.